the normal one, everyone else is quite strange. At least that's the way it feels to me. I was kind of a happy little boy till probably the age of about 8 or 9. I kept myself to myself. I played with Lego. I didn't understand this socialising bit. You can't undo the dropping or the inventing of the atomic weapon. I can't undo the bullying that I received at school. Every day for a couple of years I used to get everything back marked in red. A couple of years ago I was lucky enough to be invited to do a show at Pallant House, where I put my entire life history on display, almost as a kind of fake fossil show. I had managed to keep loads and loads of bits from when I was a kid. It's that obsession, it's that keeping, it's that retaining, which was good because I filled all the glass cabinets up with these items from my life, some of which went back, you know, to when I was happy, before I knew anything about bullying. Found all my old school reports from school, and my art report was not good, and so I redacted it. I took all the good bits out, and I did the same with my geology reports and put them on show. I was always good at drawing though, but it was the drawing that got me into trouble, and it was very obsessional. I drew this picture, and then, you know, at the age of 11 I spelt my name wrong on it and the teacher tore it up. And I always thought it was my fault. They're faults. So each one moves down like that and moves up like that. And they're made from the wood that was in the classroom when I was being abused at school. So they're kind of, this was there then, sort of thing. But you see, I was always told it was my fault. What happened to me at school? A lot of the work I'm doing at the moment contains faults. Faults are very prevalent in geology, but without those faults, you don't get the landscape. Well, you don't get the full landscape anyway. Otherwise, everything would be completely flat and boring. My obsessional drawing got me work because I was able to cut things across, do things that other people couldn't do. I did try and draw how I felt though, and it didn't really turn out too successful. I don't know, I just couldn't express what I felt in 2D because, you know, I was bearing this rucksack of rocks on my shoulders. Everything was kind of always my fault, and I just couldn't draw it, so I had to start making things. Kind of literally just, I guess, playing with them and grouping them until we get something that we like. A couple of years ago I found my old school pen, the original one I had at the grammar school, fountain pen, and I kind of altered it by sticking pins in it so that they came out so nobody could hold it anymore, because that was just a good visual metaphor of what writing is like for me. I also found the ink as well and filled up 2,000 of these little containers with it and called it all the words I never wrote. I've always liked arts and science. Science has really grabbed me. I like to know what's going on around me. Yes, this one was given to me on one of those days, and I couldn't not keep it as a possum. I turned the patterns of chewing gum into new constellations, and I just chose at random off Google a word and then named the constellation that. So you look for patterns and you can find the most extraordinary things in the extraordinary places. Systemisation is kind of very important to me. Putting things in order, putting things in categories, making life ordered. And if something happens that disorders that can be the most disturbing thing possible. That's why, you know, the latest project is this is look about. But it is hard work to write everything you do, every minute, each day down, especially for someone who can't even keep their own accounts or write. I've always had a funny relationship with colour, never known why until the last couple of years. Found out it was my Asperger's, the Synesthesia, why I naturally gravitate away from some and really like others. I love teal, that sort of very soft, greeny blue colour. I think that's on one end of the spectrum, and yellow's on the other end of the spectrum. I cannot abide yellow. Yellow to me tastes of mould. Every time I see it, I feel quite frightened, and it's not every yellow, it's only specific yellows. You know, some yellows are worse than others. I can be very naughty. When I was doing the Southern Railways thing, I used to stick vinyl in different places and change notices. I like playing with words, so train, rain, pain. You know, beware that, don't stand forward of the yellow line. You know, my love-hate relationship with yellow again. I've always had a funny relationship with spaces. Every time I've gone into the turbine hall, I've heard seagulls because of my synesthesia. So I kind of thought it was appropriate just to play the sound of seagulls on the hour for 5 hours. And it kind of just fitted. I wanted everybody else to hear what I could hear. You know, and people said, well, how did you think of that? And I thought, well, it's just kind of normal. I mixed sound and stones a couple of years ago, where I made this stone circle which played back music at random. I've always had a love relationship with rocks too. I've always got on better with rocks and stones, kind of my friends, rather than people. You know, they're predictable, I know what they are. I can differentiate between all the stones I've got at home in my collection, but I can't differentiate between people. Because if not, what I can do is hear. You know, I know, if you pick up a stone and you drop it, it's going to fall to the ground. You know, if I say something to 2 different people, I might get 2 different responses, which is hard to kind of cope with. And after I had that picture torn up at school, I decided that's what I was going to do. I was going to go and do rocks and fossils, geology, because I was good at finding stuff, good at forensics, good at working things out. Kind of reading the landscape before I could read about it. This is the death notice of the teacher who abused me at school, which is really quite strange. I do naughty things with books too, not because I don't like books. I was always brought up to love books. And a couple of years ago I thought, what can I make as a piece of artwork that would sit out in a field? And I came up with this idea of taking books apart and making flags out of the pages. Sort of a metamorphosis of a book that was going to be thrown away, giving it an alternate life. But it just gives people a chance to become an artist for a day. A lot of people are denied the chance. I was almost denied that chance. Asperger's equals curiosity. You want to know things. You know, it's almost like you'd want to see an action replay of the end of the world. You know, it's that curiosity. Sometimes you can do things that are extraordinary but ordinary.